Rosa by Jonathan Rabb, book review. So this is actually the second historical fiction book I've read about Rosa Luxemburg. First one was Karl and Rosa by Alfred Dublin, which I read back in the summer of 2001 and found absolutely fascinating. Then I was in the public library and I stumbled upon this book, which is also about Rosa Luxemburg and the 1918 German Socialist Revolution. So Rosa Luxemburg has long been kind of one of my historical interests. I find her a fascinating figure. And I've always liked historical fiction. I know some people don't, but I like reading novels, so I like learning history through the form of a novel, if at all possible. So, when I discovered there was another historical novel about Rosa Luxemburg, I checked it out. Now, this book, however, Rosa Luxemburg isn't really in it that much because it starts off with the discovery of Rosa's dead body. And then the plot of the book is it's a murder mystery around her death. Now, this is interesting because the circumstances surrounding Rosa Luxemburg's death have never been entirely clear. I mean, most people think she was kind of killed by the government, but nobody actually saw it happen. So the book takes advantage of the mysterious circumstances to create a fictional explanation for what we know as the official history. So, what if in post-revolution Berlin, there was a Jack the Ripper-like figure who was going around carving up women? And what if Rosa Luxemburg's body popped up among the victims? Now, was Rosa Luxemburg simply part of a string of random killings? Or are shadowy figures in the government, the political affairs division, trying to make it look that way to cover up a political assassination? It's mixing fact with fiction pretty liberally here, and it's probably not so much historical fiction as it is kind of alternate history. Although it's not alternate history in the sense of Harry Turtledove or something like that, where history goes radically in a different direction. It's alternate history in the sense that it's creating kind of an alternate explanation for established history. I don't know what you'd call that. Is that still alternate history? Is there a different word I should be using? Anyways. Since the time of her death, Rosa Luxemburg has always been regarded with a great deal of fascination, as much for what she represents as for who she was. Rosa Luxemburg represents the last hurrah of the German left before the downward slide into fascism. For a brief moment in 1918, it looked like Germany, along with Russia, was going to be leading the worldwide socialist revolution, with Rosa Luxemburg and the other Jewish leaders at the forefront, right? Because Rosa Luxemburg was Jewish, a lot of the other socialist leaders were Jewish. So it looked like, the Jewish people were going to be the leaders of Germany. Then the revolution was crushed, and 10 years later, Germany is not being led by Jews, it's become incredibly anti-Semitic. Alfred Dublin, he wrote the Karl and Rosa book I was referencing earlier. He was a German Jew himself, and he wrote a trilogy on the November 1918 revolution to try and discover how the German left could have everything in its hands and then lose it all. Dublin's work focuses mainly on the failure of the 1918 revolution, whereas Rosa by Jonathan Rabb picks up at the end of the revolution. And the last parts of Rosa, the novel in particular, focus on how the forces of fascism and anti-Semitism are just waiting in the wings now to pick up the pieces after the failure of the leftist revolution. For this reason, I think if you wanted to, you could kind of read them all together. You could read Dublin's November 1918 trilogy first, and then follow it up with Rosa. I think the themes of one lead nicely into the themes of the other. That plus the chronology fits nicely. I mean, Rosa by Jonathan Rabb starts out just where November 1918 finishes. Now, Rosa was published in 2005, so it's a lot more recent than Dublin's trilogy. So I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, the fact that they kind of fit together so nicely. Now, even though this book takes place after Rosa Luxemburg's death, Jonathan Rabb makes frequent use of excerpts from her real-life journal and from her real-life correspondence, which is scattered throughout the book, and that helps to paint a picture of her and make her into an important part of the book. The idea of a murder mystery surrounding Rosa Luxemburg is an interesting one. However, other elements of the novel can border on cliché. For example, the main character is a middle-aged detective. He's getting over the recent death of his longtime partner and best friend, who was killed in the line of duty. He is now instead paired with a much younger partner. His younger partner is very eager, but also very green and at times annoying. He has a troubled home life, a stressed marriage. He drinks too much. He has a boss who yells at him when he crosses the line. He has turf struggles with other police department agencies. Yeah, it's all that kind of sounds like any detective book you've read ever, right? But there are a few unexpected plot twists along the way. Although I suppose unexpected plot twists along the way are also maybe cliche for the genre. I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, although if you want to be cynical, maybe you could say after Umberto Eco and Dan Brown, even the idea of using a historical setting for a murder mystery is not original even anymore. But it was all right. You know, everything doesn't need to be original. Jonathan Rabb doesn't feel the need to rise above the cliches of the genre. He does a good job working within them. The book is well written, and it held my attention from beginning to end.